Good afternoon and welcome to the Seaside-Sand City Television Show here on KYMB, Comcast, Cable Channel 19, and over the air at 27.1, brought to you in part by the Seaside-Sand City Chamber of Commerce. And good afternoon, I'm Jim Vossen. You may have seen me here before. I used to do a morning show here weekday mornings, but it's been a while. It's been since the end of February. This is something brand new. This used to be the slot where Don Bowen was, and I tried to place a call to Don just a little while ago. The line was busy. So hopefully we're going to get him on maybe next week's show, see how he's doing, have him give a call in here. But a lot of people might know, a lot of people might not know. I'm the president of the Seaside-Sand City Chamber of Commerce, and we. For the longest time, I see in the newspapers all the time these half-page, sometimes full-page ads for other chambers, like the Monterey Peninsula Chamber, the Pacific Grove Chamber, Carmel Chamber, and so on. And they'll have these ads there. Well, those cost big bucks. And our chamber, it's a small chamber, been around since 1945, but pretty small by comparison. One of the things, we do own our own building at 505 Broadway. We own our own building, which is neat. But we don't have a lot of money. So I thought, well, let's take this television slot and do something different that the other Chamber of Commerces don't do. And what we're going to do is we're going to be doing every week on Wednesdays. Was that my first mistake? Yes, Ron, I think it was. Anyway. We'll count the mistakes, all right? And we'll have a prize next week. You call in, you tell me how many mistakes I did, and if you have the right number, you win a prize. So anyway, every Wednesday, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, the Seaside-Sand City Television Show. And basically, the premise is to promote our members. We have about 150 members. We should have about 200 members. We have our own little membership directory here, and if you look at it and count them all, it says 180. Some of them are not current, you might say, and that happens from lack of sending an invoice or lack of going over and say, hi, you really should be or re-sign up as being a member of the chamber. We have a lot of new members, so we're going to be talking about them as we go along. But what I thought I would do today, because this is, well, next week it'll be too late. Next Wednesday will be too late because next Tuesday is Election Day, voting, and there's a couple of measures that are out there, and you see the signs all over the place, Measures K and Measures M. And I thought I'd let you know that our Chamber of Commerce, the Seaside-Sand City Chamber of Commerce, and like most of the other chambers around here, Monterey Peninsula Chamber, Salinas Valley Chamber, have taken a stand on no on Measure M, and yes on Measure K. Now, I know a little bit about it. There's a couple of things that bother me about both measures, and it has to do with the fact that I live in Seaside. I represent, business-wise, the city of Seaside and Sand City. And I think, my gut feeling is that I think that the city of Seaside should be able to decide on its own economic vitality, its recovery, rather than have somebody in Pebble Beach, King City, Gonzales, or so on, decide the economic vitality of the city of Seaside. And that's what this measures, both measures are about. Measure M came about to really kind of kick Seaside in the, back there, and really hurt it quite a bit. I don't know if that's their intentions, but it's just the facts of the way it is. And Measure K is kind of to fight that. So there's a couple of things on it. I myself, personally, I'm probably going to go with, I'm debating on this. I've kind of been promoting voting no on both. voting no on both, because both, in essence, do what I just said. It allows people outside to decide somewhat of our future here. But between the two measures, I like K better. So if I'm going to vote yes on anything, I'll vote yes on K. Definitely no on Measure M. And I do have a guest here that I'm going to bring up here in just a minute. She was actually my morning co-host once a month, Beth Palmer, and she is from Monterey Downs. Yeah, a lot of people, Monterey Downs, no! Oh, no. Yeah, hey, you know what? You could have bet that they were going to be on. No, stop it. Nah, anyway, and we're not going to talk about horse breeding at all. That's another show. So, but anyway, it's going to be a pleasure to do this. And then we got another guest coming up at the later in the show, later half. It's only an hour show, but our second half hour is Cal Barlicker. He is the new owner of Cal's Monterey Motors. They've got over there, they got the Chrysler, Dodge, and they call a separate one Ram. I don't know, I think Ram is a Dodge, but anyway, Ram, Jeep, and the new what's that? Oh, Fiat, little Fiat car. Anyway, they've got that out there. Their showroom's not done yet, but it's getting close for the Fiat one. And they did definitely do a great thing by filling up a big hole and a void in the Seaside Auto Center. So we're going to find out more about Cal at the second half. We're going to take a break here. Is my timing good, Ron?
Yes.
Are we kind of, my engineer, Ron Buttron, who is here, and he was my engineer before. And yes, we got married. No. We didn't do that. No, he's just really good guy, and I just he needs all the help he can get. So we're going to take a little break. This is the Seaside-Sand City Television Show. I'm Jim Vossen, V as in Victor, O-S-S-E, and we'll be back in about a minute with my first guest. Seaside Auto Center in Seaside. Only in Seaside will you find Acura, Audi, BMW, Cadillac, Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Fiat, Ford, GMC, Honda, Infiniti, Jaguar, Jeep, Land Rover, Lexus, Lincoln, Nissan, Porsche, Ram, Scion, Subaru, Toyota, and Volvo. More models to choose from and better deals at Seaside Auto Center. Easy to find off Highway 1 in Seaside. Seaside Auto Center. Online at seasideautodealers.com.
We began in 1907 in Wichita, Kansas. We're the second oldest General Motors dealership west of the Mississippi River, and we are the oldest General Motors dealership in the state of California. What nearly 110 years in this industry have taught us is the value of customer service above all else. And that's why we continue to serve generations of families on the Monterey Peninsula.
Welcome back to the Seaside-Sand City Television Show, right here on KYMB Comcast Channel 19, over the air at 27.1, and in the Fresno area. Is it 33 dot something? I forget, Ron. What is it? 33 what? The people that are watching, they know. They know. And our phone lines are off. You can't call right now. We'll probably engage that next week. Anyway, my first guest, brand new show, and she's been a lovely person to be on the morning show at the time. Beth Palmer, how you doing?
Great.
Oh, lady in red.
Congrats on getting the show back on.
Well, it's just something that, I keep on seeing, every time I open up the Herald,
yep.
I see the other chambers with their things, and
yeah.
So why don't, but, that doesn't cost little monies. It costs the big bucks. Yeah, they get some sponsors in there because they have the manpower,
Right.
They have a big team and everything. I'm it almost, So. Anyway, how you doing?
I'm good.
Are you getting nervous?
Good.
How do you feel?
No, I'm feeling
We're
good.
getting down to the final line?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, 1 week left.
Excuse me, the finish line.
The finish line.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's just horse humor. Okay. Hey, so, you know what's, first of all, how do you feel? You feel like you got good feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good on the feedback that the veterans have been telling us on everything. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Of course, you never know until Tuesday, and it's really a get out the vote now. But feeling pretty good.
And I hear you're on another gig this afternoon, aren't you?
I know. I guess somebody got sick a guest on another show, and so I was asked to fill in.
She had somebody. We're talking with Mary Ann Leffel.
Right, right.
By your town.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought she was a person who was going to be on her show got the flu, and so she asked me last if I would come in.
Well, see,
so.
She was going to be on here.
Oh, really?
She was going to be at the beginning because you were going to come a little bit late. Phyllis.
Yes, has the flu.
It has the flu. Yeah,
Yes.
I got a call from her son this morning. She said, we're taking her to the doctors or something. So, all right.
So I got the fill-in call for that.
Got the fill-in call for that. Okay. By the way, I got a new schedule. I got to look at my schedule, so let me just make sure. If I'm brushed up on this, I'm pretty good. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. I was going to get to somewhere. As I stated at the beginning of the program, I feel as the city of Seaside feels. As you know, they tried to do some kind of injunction on these or whatever you call that.
Right.
And there's it looks like after the election, they still may do something.
Correct.
Depending on how it turns out, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. There's these two measures, measures K and
Correct.
measures M.
Correct.
K. Let me just ask about the voting thing, 'cause you're kind of a legal scholar and you know these things, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And for instance, they have to, if for one of those to win, they have to get more yes votes. Is that correct? How does that work?
So they work the same as every other measures would work in the sense that in order to pass, you have to be 50% plus one.
Okay.
So if neither measure gets over 50%,
Yes.
then they both fail.
Both fail.
If one gets over 50% and one does not, then one fails and the other one. The only time it comes into play as competing measures are if they both pass. If they both receive more than 50% of the vote, then the one with more actual votes, not
Right.
necessarily a percentage, but more actual votes, is the
Right.
prevailing measure
Yeah. So no, and that
between the two.
Okay.
But other than that, they work like the same as every other measure.
Okay. So now, so if people vote no on a thing, and that counts as a no vote. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if, for instance, there are 10,000 voters.
Correct.
And 6,000 vote no and 4,000 vote yes, it's a done deal. That's out of it. It's lost.
Correct, because you would have had 60% vote no, so you
Yeah.
would have lost. You would only have 40% yes.
Okay, all right. Now, just out of curiosity, let's say somebody walks into a voting booth, and there's not like a bunch of other items on there that I know of.
Depends on where you are. There
Oh.
are school boards, water districts.
Let's
Board seats, other
say
measures.
as they come through.
Yeah.
Okay, so they vote for their other things. Now they get to Measure K, and they decide, okay, I'm going to vote yes or no on that.
Okay.
But I skip and don't vote anything on Measure M.
Correct.
Then there's neither a no vote or a yes vote, right? But it's only, but yet there could be 10,000 voters, but 300 decide not to vote on that. We don't count those as no's, do we? Do we just
No, you would actually then look at the percentage out of 9,700 if 300 people decided not to vote. So then instead of needing 5,001 out of the 10,000 votes, you would take
Oh, okay.
9,700,
Oh, I see.
whatever the
But-
half of that is, plus one.
I got you. Okay. So
Now you're getting into math for me. So.
okay. Okay. All right. So let me say this. First of all, Measure M, and you know much about Measure M. Now we had on I think it was Monday's program, we had Jason Campbell on.
Okay.
He was a guest with Dan Miller,
Okay.
Pacific Grove councilman. You know, and Dan sent me the list, and I says, "What?" But anyway, but you know, Jason's not a bad guy. I think he's on the wrong side. Obviously, you guys have different things. Do you ever get in yelling matches with them?
No. There was an incident where in a Seaside City Council, where I think you were there, Jason went after a veteran and they had to close down the city council. So
Oh, really?
I think in that one
You mean
particular
physically?
instance, physically, yes.
Oh,
we had to shut that down. So they had to actually shut down the council. So
I wasn't there for that one.
I
must have
don't.
missed it.
I don't know how you miss it. You're usually there. So
Well, yeah, but
in
no, but
that
I go home to watch
particular-
Big Bang, so I miss those.
So in that particular instance, I would not agree, but I think in general he seems like a pretty mild-mannered, nice guy. You have just differences of opinions of what should be done. There was one incident that was violent. So,
okay. All right.
but putting that aside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this group of people that are kind of the same, they're kind of the same group that originally changed the MST bus place that was going to be in
Yes.
Fort Ord.
Yes.
And that, what's that called? The
Whispering Oaks.
Whispering Oaks. Okay.
Yes. And so that MST, because of that referendum, and so
Yes.
this is the same group that got the signatures to put it on, and then a county, instead of putting
Right.
the measure on the ballot, simply rescinded.
Right.
MST lost a $32 million grant over that. So they now still need to do their facilities again, find another location, but actually don't have a $32 million federal grant to build it. That was lost when that happened.
Yeah.
So there are ramifications of these things.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. In that particular situation, I myself, and I don't really know, I don't know, for some reason to me, I'm thinking that a place for buses, you know, their yard and everything, should be like somewhere in the industrial area of Salinas or something, and not, I don't understand. I don't understand that part there.
That was really before we were involved, so I
Yeah.
don't know all the details. I do know, just from looking at it kind of after the fact, that the location was chosen because they thought that it was a central location to service people on the peninsula and service Salinas. So from the use of gas and getting to people and being able to service, they thought
They
that
thought
would
it
be
really
a
was.
centralized location. Whether it was the right location or not,
Yeah.
everybody can disagree on, but that was the reason for trying to move to that area, was to be more centralized.
I don't know.
I don't know that that was that particular
Yeah.
spot was the right spot, but that was the reason they were trying to move.
Yeah, I don't know. I just scratch. So I don't feel that bad about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It seemed like, again, the county. Now in that particular case, by the way, let me ask. That's a situation where, if it did have to go to voters, if the county hadn't done their thing, then they got this group that would push their ideals and such. And then MST, they're the ones who would have to fight it. Is that right? They'd have to come up money.
And likely would not have. And I
Yeah.
think that, when you're looking at a government agency on one side,
Yeah.
then it's a little bit different.
Okay. All right. So,
So that's probably what happened there as well.
okay. So now, and also I've told people before that you guys, and if I'm talking the Monterey Downs project, you guys just didn't look through the phone book and say where we want to go. You guys were kind of invited up here by a supervisor, Dave Potter. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Okay. Because there was another kind of a horse theme, something going on. They didn't have enough money. And so, that was the idea, to help them out. Is that right?
So yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. When the original base reuse plan was done, they always wanted an equestrian venue. And if you look at the original plan, you can see there's actually a section for it for equestrian. So that was always a goal. And then the Monterey Horse Park, which is a not-for-profit, was organized and created to try and get that done. They were, as most nonprofits are, had funding issues and were unable. They were trying to work with the Bay Area Sports Olympic Committee, and were actually going to be the
you're right.
equestrian venue for the San Francisco Olympics. And when San Francisco didn't get the 2012 Olympics, they were floundering. They weren't going to make it. We actually were in front of the Coastal Commission on a horse farm, and Dave Potter was one of the coastal commissioners at the time.
I see.
And all he said was, hey, you've got experience in this. Can you just come talk to these guys? It wasn't come do a project, come
Right.
do some big thing. Can you help out? Can you
Right.
talk to them? And as it turned out, because of Brian's involvement on the state level, we knew most of the people on the board beforehand. And so that's how we got involved with the Monterey Horse Park. We started in 2007. We've officially been working on as
Yeah.
a project since 2008. So we've been here 5 years working on it so far. And to clarify, Measure K does not approve our project. That is one of the absolute misnomers that are out there.
And that is
we
true.
are
In fact,
not approved
by the way,
by the measure.
and not only that, but if when they say, and let me know if I'm incorrect on this. I doubt it, but if voting yes on Measure M doesn't totally eliminate horse racing or gambling in Fort Ord, does it? It only eliminates at that spot. If for some reason there was another spot still on Fort Ord, but in another spot, one could do that, petition that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Or not?
Yeah, correct. What the base reuse plan specifically prohibits casinos, specifically prohibits card rooms.
Okay.
So we're not proposing those. We don't want those. We've told the Seaside City Council for years, condition us if you don't even want to rely solely on the base reuse plan. So those things aren't allowed on the base anywhere.
Right.
What we're proposing is allowed anywhere on the base. This just happens to be the site we were looking at.
My point being,
you could move it. Absolutely.
So it doesn't really say no. You know what I mean?
Correct.
It's just they're saying not here. You know,
well, they're saying they're going further than that. By changing the zoning to open space, you're not only saying, I don't want Monterey Downs, I don't want Google, I don't want the Panetta Institute, I want nothing.
Right.
And that's where it's bigger than us. It's where it comes down to Seaside and all the cities being able to decide what they want in that location.
Okay. This is the Seaside-Sand City Television Show, brand new every Wednesday from 1 to 2 o'clock. I'm Jim Vossen, V as in Victor, O-S-S-E-N. My guest, Beth Palmer from Monterey Downs. And it is, I used to give the date out. Remember the morning show I did the date? It is Wednesday, October 30th, 2013. I used to give my weight out. Maybe I'll do that next time. We'll stop that. We're going to take a little break. We'll come right back and talk a little more with Beth Palmer. We'll be right back. Seaside Auto Center in Seaside. Only in Seaside will you find Acura, Audi, BMW, Cadillac, Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Fiat, Ford, GMC, Honda, Infiniti, Jaguar, Jeep, Land Rover, Lexus, Lincoln, Nissan, Porsche, Ram, Scion, Subaru, Toyota, and Volvo. More models to choose from and better deals at Seaside Auto Center. Easy to find off Highway 1 in Seaside. Seaside Auto Center. Online at seasideautodealers.com.
The 2013 Motor Trend Truck of the Year is Ram 1500, and Cal is offering fantastic savings on this award-winning truck. The Ram 1500 has hard charging power with easygoing economy and is best in class for city and highway MPG. Motor Trend Truck of the Year, massive power, best in class gas mileage. Cal's not crazy, but you might be if you pass on this deal. Cal's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, in the middle of the Seaside Auto Center. Military, see us first.
Very good. Thank you. Good. Good job there, Ron. Welcome back to the Seaside-Sand City Television Show. I'm Jim Vossen, and of course Beth Palmer from Monterey Downs. One of the things that, if I may, Jason had brought up, Jason Campbell, was that the measure or the paperwork for the Measure M is like real thin, and the paperwork on Measure K is real thick.
Yes.
Yes.
And the reason for that is if you look at Measure M, you have no context for what they're taking out or what they're putting in. What the Measure K group did, which was the United Veterans Council, is they said, we are going to take the entire chapter we are changing, cross out what we're taking out, and underline what we're putting in. So if you want to read the entire chapter, including the pictures, including everything, you can go and look at the entire chapter, not just one sentence that has no context. That's the difference between the two.
Okay. So let's go here for a second, okay? All right. Let's say, it's just my gut feeling. I have a feeling that because both measures, and this is what I mean when I hear people, a lot of people just don't know about it. You know, it's really surprising how many people don't know. And they also kind of say it's confusing. Okay.
Yes.
So my take on this is I think most people are going to vote no on both. That's my gut feeling.
Okay.
So let's say they do.
That's fair. Yeah.
So all right. So what it does is basically goes back to the original plan, as if nobody came up and is interrupting what's going on.
Correct.
Fair enough?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, would that be a problem for Monterey Downs if that happened?
No.
Okay. Would that have any effect on the Veterans Cemetery?
It would not have any effect in that they would be where they are today. They do have a couple of issues that Measure K looked to clean up. So one of the things, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's right. No.
So what happened is Measure M came about. And so when that petition started to go around and the veterans and everybody were reading it and saw the effects of it, they had two decisions to make. Are we just going to combat it, because you can say, okay, if they're going to do measure, and nobody knew the letter then, but say they knew it was M, do we just do a no on M campaign, or do we actually do another measure? So that's a decision.
Yeah.
Do you just do no on one or come up with a separate measure? What had happened is the people behind Measure M, for several years before this, have actually stood up and spoken out at fora, at the city of Seaside, in other public forums against the cemetery. And that's all on videotape. You don't have to take anybody's word for it. It's all on videotape. They've submitted letters. They want the cemetery moved. They've actually filed a lawsuit against fora to stop the East Side Parkway. And so they said, and the East Side Parkway is critical to the cemetery because it provides the access compliant with the American Disabilities Act, which is a requirement for federal funding. So the veterans said, you know, this is our opportunity to fix everything and stop all those lawsuits, stop all those questions, and say, we are going to solve this once and for all, no ifs, ands, or buts. And that's why the decision was made to do a separate measure as opposed to just stopping a measure. They said, not only do we want this, but this is our opportunity. We know what they're about. For 2 years, they've been coming out against us. Let's fix it.
Now, I noticed that the television advertisements I have seen on television, most, if not all of them, are for no on M. Are there any television ones that are yes on K? Oh, I don't. Maybe I haven't seen
and
that.
I think those will probably be coming out. You'll see those more now in the last few days. But yes.
All right. I do want to compliment the one spot that was done with Helen Rucker, Carlos Ramos. In fact, Carlos Ramos was supposed to be here, but we never got him here, so he was supposed to be here. And a couple other people, and you had different kind of aspects. That was a great spot. Whoever did that, my hats are off to them. That was really good.
And some people seem to think, and even on that one or the veterans ones, that the people who were in them were actors, and they're not. They're all local residents.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing was scripted. They really just went in and said what they wanted to say.
You didn't have to script Carlos?
No. I had nothing to do with them, but no.
Okay. Yeah. He gets a little wild sometimes, you know?
He's very passionate.
Sometimes I'm a little scared of him.
He's very passionate.
You know what I mean? I know.
Yes.
I'll never forget that first time. What was that when he came in? The declaring war. That was the start of the White petition.
Oh yes.
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 Declared war.
Yes.
And I kind of, I said no. But
very passionate.
Very passionate. All right.
So there are. You should look at the measures separately in what they do and what they don't do.
Yeah.
Because I know the concern on both of them, which is an extremely valid concern of not telling cities what to do and leaving the vote up to them.
Right. I would think that if both measures are voted down, I have a funny feeling that it'd be hard to kind of come back and yell at the veteran cemetery about moving them. I think, I understand that Kay would etch it in stone, apparently, but...
Well, it's not just the location. It's actually the master plan. So right now, all of the money...
there isn't a master plan already?
No, that's in the base reuse plan. No, there's not. And this adopts it. Because the master plan wasn't done until 2007 for the cemetery. So Measure K officially adopts the plan for the cemetery.
I see.
So that is one of the things that they chose to correct, is actually put their master plan in there.
All right. Did my next guest right? Oh, good. Okay. So you're going to be on tonight at 5 o'clock on Channel 24. That's the public access channel on AMP. And by the way, you can see it streamed on the internet at ampmedia.org. Just navigate towards Channel 24. You're going to be on there for an hour with Marianne Leffel.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. Hope nobody's picketing out in front or something like that. And now, do you ever get in rumbles yourself? Or are you?
No.
It's been good?
It's been good.
Okay.
It's been good.
It's amazing. I'll tell you one thing that really, really grips me is that, you can't help but open up now, yes, it's true. More people call to complain than they do to compliment. That's always been the general rule. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I can see where the people are writing in to complain about most of them are kind of the yes on M and, in the letters to the editor and stuff. But I got to tell you, more times than not, when I'm reading this stuff, I'm thinking to myself, these people that are the yes on M.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm thinking to myself, are these some of the stupidest people I've ever seen in my life? You know, I said, wait a minute, that's not going to happen. It can't happen. You know, so. No, so let me leave you with last question. Because now you can have a good hour and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be a good time. Yeah. We don't have popcorn there, though. We don't have popcorn here either. But let's say worst comes to worst. K loses, M wins. Okay. Is there a thought of maybe another spot in Fort Ord and Seaside?
There isn't another spot.
Oh, there isn't?
No. That is one of the other misnomers that are out there, is the land is actually spoken for. All of the buildings that you see are spoken for.
Well, but
we've looked at it.
Really?
We've looked at the locations.
How many acres? You need a lot of acres. How many acres do you need for your project, basically?
Well, with all of the components, with like the tennis and swim and the horse park and everything, we're looking at approximately 480 acres.
Okay.
But there are 28,000 on the base.
But because I'm a little confused.
1.5%.
You know the Harvey, who's thinking about putting 2 hotels out there. You saw that. So his is a small plan compared to yours.
Well, how many acres is that?
Oh, I think it's like 26 or 25.
Okay. Oh,
26.
yeah.
So
Okay.
it's a small thing. I was quite surprised about one little thing.
What's that?
And I didn't realize that. And
What?
I guess is that this thing of the water permits per room.
Yeah.
Something like it's like almost $3,000 per room that they build this hotel with.
Yeah, so
Whoa.
So one of the things is water on Fort Ord is separate from the peninsula water.
Yes, it's not.
It's obviously it's the same. It's Salinas Valley.
Yeah.
But the Army had its rights that it's had historically since the Army's been there since 1917.
And there's something else called the Pueblo rights or something. You have heard about
those
stuff
are
like
the pre-1914 rights.
Okay,
So if you focus on the
Yeah.
Army's rights, they actually had the rights to about 30,000 acre-feet per year of water.
Wow.
Historically, they used 6,600. Those water rights have been transferred to the redevelopment of the base. They can only be used on the base. And so the projects on former Fort Ord are using the old Army water. So, I mean, the Army never had a problem with
it tastes fresh, though, right?
It tastes fresh. It tastes fresh, but it's not taking water from anywhere else. It's the historical water. So projects on former Fort Ord allocate the water amongst themselves of that water, but it's completely separate from everything you see on the peninsula.
You know, you ever thought that water, basically all water, is like used? I mean, you know,
I don't want
came
to think
from the
about
ocean, you know, and the fish swam in it and everything. I don't know.
I don't want to think
Beth,
about that.
Thank you for thank you for coming in on the first show here. Oh,
No
Brian's
problem.
sitting over there. We didn't bring Brian on, did we?
That's usually trouble.
Yeah. Thank you for being quiet.